I am open. Joined by Aquaman, a.k.a. Jim Funny on Twitter. Had to do it as I took a drink of water before the show. How do you like that one? You like being Aquaman?
Yeah, usually you come up with these nicknames and I, get it. Like, you'll say, all right, Bullseye, let's start the show, and then you'll call me, Cowboy Cunningham or something. But Aquaman, I had no idea where you were going with it. So I was confused.
Yeah, tells you how much you pay attention to me before the show. I told you I had to get a drink of water.
No,
I drank at least a 12-pack of Aquafina water a day. It is hotter than Grandma's pot pie in this car.
A 12-pack? You drank a 12-pack just today?
Just today, yeah. 16.9 ounces. Yeah. No, 16.9 ounces.
Okay, that's a lot of frickin' water.
Well, and I was also using the restroom facilities at every one of my stops that I went to.
Mm-hmm.
It's hot up here, and for those listeners that are new, this has been an ongoing issue probably for what, Kevin? 2 months. My window hasn't worked. I have no air conditioning in my car, so I can't do the show full-fledged windows, sunroof down. I can't. It'll sound like I'm in a wind tunnel. But it's hot in this car. Like I said, Grandma's pot pie, that would be like cold out of the oven for her if she sat in this car. Like, it is hot. But, I'm hopefully getting it fixed this weekend. It's a motor. It's a bracket. The guy looked at it last weekend when he inspected my car. Got to order a part. I'm like, man, can't you just make my window work?
Right.
And I'm too lazy to undo the tape, let the window down because I got to jimmy it in and out.
Yeah.
And so if I do that, then I got to go home and spend a half hour trying to jimmy it back up, and I don't want to do that. So, oh well. How are you doing though? Besides me complaining about how hot it is up here in northwest Pennsylvania.
It's nice and warm here too. So nothing crazy different. For you, weather changes quite a bit. For me, it doesn't really change all too much. So I'm good. I'm warm, but I'm chilling here in my apartment and got the AC.
Yeah, in an air-conditioned apartment.
Yeah. So I'm fine. I got my water too. A little Zephyr Hills action. But if Zephyr Hills or Aquafina want to sponsor the show, feel free. Because
you know why it's Aquafina. It's got to be Aquafina because that's a Pepsi product. Pepsi. That's what I work for.
That's right.
I'm actually wearing an Aquafina shirt today. Kind of funny.
There you go. So you're the Aquaman, not me.
Well, I figured I'd call you the Aquaman. So before we get started today, though, Kevin, I do want to mention this to the listeners. We are going to talk some Big Ten sports today. Last week, I know it's a really big subject, still out there, still in the news.
Yeah.
I actually watched. I told you on the weekends I still can't sleep in. I was up at 4:00 watching Water's World, and he brought up some great facts about equal pay for the women in the World Cup. It was unbelievable. I misspoke too about revenue last year. I said it was like $460 billion. It was over $500 billion for the men's World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to throw it out there. If you're really into that and you want information about it, you found us on The Grueling Truth. Go back in the archives, look at last week's show. Kevin and I talked about equal pay Women's World Cup for about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So go check that out if you want to know more about that. I mean, Kevin, we always find stuff to talk about. There's no actual sports going on in the Big Ten, so to speak. But we're going to talk a little bit about the Big Ten today because there's things coming close. Football's a month away. 1 month.
Today's show is all football. Yeah, 1 month away. I mean, I looked at, we're going to be talking Nebraska football for a bit today. And Nebraska's schedule starts August 31st. So it's super late August, last day of August, but we are basically a month away. So today, I wanted to start with this as far as football talk. Big Ten Media Days are this week, and I believe they take place in Chicago. They are Thursday and Friday, so it's July 18th, July 19th. I think the 18th starts at noon, and then it goes to like 6:30, if I remember correctly. And then Friday, which is the 19th, I think it's like a 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. all-day type thing. I believe that everything is going to be on BTN, so you can follow live streams and stuff like that. But if you are interested, I know, Troy, you are probably not, and me in general, just as an Ohio State football fan, I don't necessarily care exactly what Ryan Day, the head coach of Ohio State, even in his first media day, what he has to say. I'm getting paid to write about what happens Thursday, Friday, and just the little storylines that come out of it. So I will be full attentive and understanding exactly what is said by everyone. Coaches, players all meet up in Chicago for Big Ten for these 2 days, and they basically talk to reporters and just talk about the team and everything involved with the team. Because, again, college football season is a month away. Some people like to listen or read, watch every single word that Paul Chryst is going to say at Wisconsin's Media Day during these Big Ten Media Days.
I put about as much stock into what these coaches are saying about as much as I believed when I sat on Santa's lap at 6 years old that I was getting what I asked for.
Yeah. Dude.
That's about how much I care about it and how much I believe in it.
Yeah. And the thing, too, is these coaches, I mean, once in a while they'll say something interesting and different, but a lot of it realistically is, hey, the quarterback situation, it's an open competition, yada, yada, yada.
It's all vanilla, Kevin.
Right. That's exactly it. You said it perfectly. It's basically all vanilla. There's not – it takes a really interesting question or a coach to really want to go out on a limb for one particular question to actually get something very interesting, intriguing, new information, something that'll make headlines.
Well, the sad part is there's really nothing to go out on a limb about. It's been a relatively quiet off season.
Yeah.
There's not a lot out there. So
yeah.
I don't know I don't know where the chocolate sauce is coming from, but I think most of these are going to be pretty vanilla. I mean, I know Ohio State, you got a new coach. Oh, so that's going to be real intriguing. But what is he going to really say? He hasn't had an official practice for the fall yet. I mean, I'd be more interested in listening to him talk 2 or 3 days after camp opens.
Yeah.
But media day, what is he going to say? Yeah, I like what I have on paper. I like what I saw in the spring. I mean, yeah, okay, well, I liked what I saw in the spring at Wisconsin, too. Doesn't equate to a national title.
Yeah.
Doesn't even equate to a Big Ten title.
Speaking of
spring ball,
national titles, Troy, college football playoff odds came out the other day. And let me see here. What day was this? This was July 14th. That was yesterday, actually, Sunday. We always do the show on Monday. So on July 14th, college football playoff odds came out, and guess who the 2 favorites are to make the college football playoff, Troy?
Probably. Let me think hard. University of Pittsburgh and Akron.
Okay. There you go. Those are your top 2. No, Alabama and Clemson, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Holy cow, there's a surprise.
Yeah. Alabama, Clemson, it's not 6-1 odds, it's 1-6 odds. So basically, if you put $100 on Alabama to make the college football playoff, that means you're getting like $17 back. So you're throwing $100 out there. Hey, Alabama's going to make the playoff. They do. You get $17 back. Now you get your $100 back, obviously, but the point being, you make $17. So that's how obvious it is that those 2 teams are basically going to make the playoff. Georgia is 1-1. Michigan is barely over 2-1, 9-4 technically. Ohio State's 3-1. Then you got teams like Oklahoma, LSU, Texas, and next on the list is Nebraska.
Throw it out there.
Nebraska. Like, Nebraska has 6-1 odds. Nebraska has 6-1 odds.
Don't take that bet.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Really. last year, Nebraska. I don't even remember their record from last year. I've got their schedule for 2019. I think they won 5 games. I think. No, sorry, 4.
They got rolling in the second half of the season.
4-8. That's the thing. They were 4-8 a year ago. Scott Frost in his second year at UCF went undefeated. Scott Frost is going into his second year here in Nebraska. You talk about the commitments.
He's not going undefeated at Nebraska.
They had the 18th best recruiting class in Scott Frost's first full year, so all these good freshmen are now coming in. All his guys really are starting to come into the program. And Adrian Martinez,
that's great.
the quarterback.
It's not college basketball.
Adrian Martinez is one of them. But, well, he's not one that's coming in, but he was basically the first real recruit that Scott Frost had an influence on in bringing into Nebraska. But so this team's got a lot of hype going into it.
Well, Kevin, I brought up it's not college basketball because, okay, you got the 18th best recruiting class. That's great. These freshmen coming in, yeah. They're actually boys against men. Yeah, there's some guys out there that they maybe can compete with, but you're playing against a lot of schools, especially with a Wisconsin squad that doesn't send guys to the NFL early. So you're telling me you get a good, really good defensive lineman out of high school at 18 years old going up against a Wisconsin lineman, good luck. Yeah. You might get him once or twice, but that is a mismatch in heaven. And I'm not saying it to be sarcastic. In basketball, you can bring in fabulous freshmen and go deep in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
It's a totally different game.
Yeah.
The development of bodies and the skill that is needed in the sport itself, freshmen can dominate in college basketball. Rarely are you going to see a lot of freshmen dominating college football. Now, there's a few, but not every team is going to have dominant freshmen because your body is still developing at 18 years old.
Right.
And the other thing that's developing is what's between the ears.
That's for sure.
So football to me is a much harder game to be successful as a freshman than it is in college basketball. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah. Some people actually, Troy, when they're like seniors in college and they're like a quarterback and like a face of a university, they'll still like grab their crotch when they beat Kansas. Or they'll still, run from cops or like plant flags in other team stadiums. Like they'll still do that. And then they'll get picked number 1 overall, and then people think they're going to win the AFC North a year later. But anyway, back to college football.
Yeah, I think there's some people in Vegas. There must be something in the air.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there really must be. You got Nebraska 6-1 odds. You got the Browns winning the AFC North. I mean, what the heck is going on in Vegas? I mean, again, we bet with Monopoly money, but I wouldn't even put my Monopoly money on Nebraska.
Right.
They got to get out of the West Division first.
Yeah, we put our Monopoly money on games every weekend. Every week, I should say. Every week in the college football season, during the college football season, Troy and I will make bets against the spread. And I think 2 years ago we didn't lose a game, I don't think. And then last year we were atrocious.
Well, for our lock of the week.
Yeah, the lock of the week. Our lock of the week last year was...
I'm excited about doing the lock of the week. And we didn't have a lot last year.
No.
We didn't agree on a lot.
No. And when we did, we still did atrocious.
Yeah, when we did crappy. We put the bet. Yeah. At least we admit it.
Yeah. 2 years ago, great. Last year, absolutely, we sucked. That's the way it is. But we were terrible. But as you were saying with the recruiting thing, Troy, when you look 3 years down the line, when you look 4 years down the line, and you look at Alabama and Clemson and Ohio State and Florida State and these teams that win the national title, you look back 4 recruiting classes ago, and you look during those little 4 classes that make up that roster that win the national title, like they're basically all comprised of a lot of 4-star, 5-star guys. Like they are, the teams that actually win it. Now, to make the college football playoff, you don't necessarily have to have those guys. There are outliers. There are teams that finish in the top 5, top 10. You'll have Wisconsin every once in a while. You used to have Boise State. UCF. These teams aren't made up of a ton of 4-star, 5-star guys. So it's not impossible. But to come in one recruiting class and make a huge difference, like you said, it's not college basketball. Like it's a whole different ballgame. You can't be Zion. You can't be RJ Barrett. You can't be Cam Reddish. You can't be these guys walk into college basketball and just dominate. And then you still lose to teams like Michigan State who are older. But in football, you've got to be incredibly special as a freshman.
And there are, Kevin, every year there are, 3, 4, 5 freshmen that just take the nation by surprise and by storm.
Rondale Moore was the wide receiver from Purdue a year ago. Came in as a freshman, and he was like winning awards left and right. And now people are all over him, and he's just going into his sophomore year. So they're even in the Big Ten, even in at Purdue, like guys will step in, and it's just like, holy crap, where'd this guy come from? And they're superstars already, but it's very few and far between.
And again, too, I'm gonna throw this out there too, like you do for like the professional drafts. Recruiting classes are like lottery tickets. You don't know what you have until they get the pads on.
Yeah.
You can have the highest ranked recruit in your program, and he might just be a dud.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get this little walk-on guy that finally earns a scholarship after 2 years and gets drafted in the first round. You just don't know what you get until you get the pads on, you get into camp.
Yeah.
So again, it's great to put numbers by classes. And again, we've thrown this out there a million times, Kevin. My former coaching, philosophy comes into play with recruiting. You're recruiting guys that fit into your system. However, when you're in Alabama, a Clemson, an Ohio State, a Michigan, sometimes you're just recruiting athletic guys, the best guys at the position. Not so much to fit into your system, but they're a 4 or 5-star, so you want them. And sometimes, how many times do you see these guys transferring schools, Kevin? It's because they don't fit in the system.
Like Northwestern.
Michigan came calling. Ooh, I get to play at Michigan. But I really don't fit in Harbaugh's system. So now after 2 years, I'm sitting on the bench. I want to go somewhere else.
Right. Like Northwestern's starting quarterback this year is a transfer from Clemson who had to sit out all of last year, watch Clayton Thorson because he had to, and he was probably going to be a backup anyway, but he was the number 2 quarterback recruit like 2 years ago. And now he transferred from Clemson because Trevor Lawrence came in, and basically he didn't have a legitimate spot, guaranteed spot, and he said, I want to be closer to home. I want to have my own team that I can take under my wing and say, let's go. And that's what he'll have at Northwestern this year. But, so a ton of these kids transfer, especially quarterbacks. You see that a lot now more than ever, for sure. But looking at Nebraska fairly quickly, just for where all this hype is coming from, and again, part of it is Scott Frost in year 2 and what he can do, and part of it is you get your quarterback back who last year was a true freshman, and he showed what he can do. He was like a mini Mike Vick last year, is basically what he was. And once he got his feet wet and once he understood the game, they were pretty good. Like they went 4-2. They lost to Ohio State by 5 points on the road. They lost to Iowa on the road by 3. I mean, they were good in the second half of last year, but it took time. And now this team will have Martinez back, and he can throw the football very well. He certainly can run it very well. The offense will score points. But again, with Nebraska, it comes down to, like the last 5 years, the defense, basically. And if the defense is as atrocious as it was a year ago, it's kind of hard to have the 9th best odds to make the college football playoff.
Well, why are you complimenting that defense with the word atrocious?
Yeah, they ranked last in terms of yards allowed per game, which you can look at points. Yards is not perfect either, but typically if you're last in yards allowed, that means your defense is getting eaten up and down the field consistently game after game.
Yeah, you're probably losing the time of possession too. I mean, you got a quick strike quarterback, but still, how can you have longevity and success when you have to rely on a quick strike offense to keep coming back in games?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to be in a close game and you're giving up a lot of yards and losing the time of possession battle, a lot of these games, when we start talking about these good games, Kevin, how many times last year did we say it's going to come down to the team that has the ball last? It's going to come down to that team. Well, if Nebraska's playing, they score, and they give that other team the ball back, and that defense is giving up a lot of yards, they're going to be gassed. So, I mean, it just comes down to common sense. You got to have some equality, and you got to be able to win that time possession battle. And if you're giving up a ton of yards, yeah, I guess it can be misleading because it could be a lot of splash plays. But you and I watched Nebraska a lot. It wasn't a lot of splash plays. It was 10, 15 yards rushing. It was 25, 30 yards passing. It was everything in the book. That defense just wasn't good. And we'll see how they turn the page this year. So
their schedule, that's a huge part of this. That's the main reason, really. Like, everyone knows Nebraska is probably going to be better. It's year 2. Scott Frost has more of his guys. Adrian Martinez is coming back as a starter. He knows college football now. He knows what to expect over a whole season. He'll be better. The offense will be better. They'll have better athletes in general. They'll have more of them. But if you look at their schedule and their road games, they play at Colorado, at Illinois, at Minnesota. Minnesota will be, I think, a little better, but at Minnesota isn't exactly scary.
No comment on the Gophers.
At Purdue. By the way, college football, this upcoming college football season, Troy just doesn't talk Minnesota college football because he's just wrong about them, whether he thinks they're going to be great during a whole season or during a specific game, or they're going to be atrocious. They're the complete opposite. So he just doesn't talk.
I've given up talking about Minnesota forever.
Yeah. So it'll be a one-sided conversation as far as Minnesota football is concerned. But anyway, at Minnesota, at Colorado, at Illinois, at Purdue. Purdue will be better, but it's not impossible. And then at Maryland. Like, those are the 6 road games for Nebraska this year. So it's not, or wait a minute, I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, no, they only have 5. They only have 5 road games. What's weird about Nebraska's schedule, too, they play the first 7 weeks of the year. And then they have a bye. They play 2 more. They have another bye after that. And then they play 3 more. Very odd. You almost always see a bye happen week 2 or 3 or 4. Like, for every team out there. I have no idea how Nebraska's got 7 games in a row to start the year.
Are they only playing 11?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. No, they've got 7 home games. I know last year they canceled their first game, but that was against, like, Troy, I think. Troy's not even on the schedule.
That was because of the inclement weather, wasn't it?
Yeah. I don't know what the deal is here, but they have 7 home games. Oh, I don't know. 7 home, 5 road. But again, road schedule. The road schedule is winnable, and then games at home. Really, like, you get Ohio State at home. The next hardest is Wisconsin and Iowa, and that's basically to close out the year. So I, like all these teams, I expect them to get. I think Nebraska will be younger in terms of skill positions and, guys they have to replace, even to consider it favorable and to say they go 10-2. That's being generous. To say they go 10-2 with the defense they had last year. And 10-2 going into the Big Ten title game, even if you win that, you're still not making the college football playoff. Like, you have to have 1 loss. Unless you're Clemson, unless you're Alabama, and you win the ACC or SEC title game with 2 losses and say, no, we're still one of the 4 best teams. unless you're one of those two teams, you're not getting it with 2 losses. So, I don't know. I like Nebraska this year, and I think everyone will like Nebraska this year, and I think they'll be fun. I think they'll be...
Yeah, and a bowl game would be such a step up for that program.
They'll make a bowl game.
But to put the hype on this, I mean, think of now all the added pressure on Frost. Think of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, because what do you think the boosters are going to be looking at, Kevin?
Right.
Well, Vegas says you can make the playoffs, so why are we 1-3?
Right.
I mean,
yeah. I mean,
don't put any undue pressure on that guy. I like the guy. I thought it was a great hire at Nebraska. You and I both said last year he's going to turn this program around, get back to winning ways, but it may take 3, 4, 5 years and a couple of recruiting classes to get to that dominant level to be at the top of the division.
If they
could they surprise teams and do it this year? You could, because of the weak division that they play in also.
Yeah, and you
got to look at that side of that division.
Yeah, and Northwestern at home, by the way. So for those thinking Northwestern's another dark horse, like, they get Northwestern at home too. Like, this schedule is made perfect. But you get 7 home games, you get 5 road, you get 2 byes basically in the middle of the year to help break things up. You get Ohio State at home, Northwestern at home, Wisconsin at home, Iowa at home. Like, it's set up perfect. But, again, it's only year 2, and your quarterback's going into his sophomore year, and you have to replace your top running back and wideout, and your defense was terrible a year ago. Like, take this schedule a year from now, 2 years from now, now we're talking. Not this year. This team's not doing huge things this year. Again, I like them. They'll be improved. The schedule will help them. But like you said, I wouldn't put monopoly on money on it. I think they're like going to be the 22nd best team in the country. And
let's just look at the 4 games you mentioned, Kevin. Ohio State, Wisconsin, Iowa, and Northwestern. Mm-hmm. All 4 at home. Are they going 4-0 against that group of teams?
Right.
I highly doubt it.
Right. If they're as good as people think they could be, they should lose to Ohio State. And then, you get Northwestern at home, you get Wisconsin at home, you get Iowa at home, you still have to go at Purdue, at Minnesota, at Maryland. So to not slip up once, it's just very hard to do with a team, again, that defensively is going to be bad at best. And then offensively, they'll have their fireworks shows, for sure. It'll be a fun team. It'll be a good team. It'll be a team that's going to rack up more wins than they probably should because of their schedule. But I think people are getting ahead of themselves. There's a reason Vegas has the odds where they are, is because they're getting the bets. I mean, odds change based on how people bet. If everyone's betting the Patriots, the line will move away from the Patriots and make it harder to put money on the Patriots. Vegas wants basically a 50-50 split. So, that's how they make money. They don't make money if everyone bets the same team and that team wins. So they're adjusting to what people are betting. And a lot of people love Nebraska this year. And there's some good reasons for it, but I think we're being a little too on top of Nebraska being amazing, is all I'll say. I think they could be very, very, very damn good a couple years from now, but not this year. That's my overall opinion. Unless you got anything else, Troy, we can move on to our last topic here. Unless you're on mute. Or you dinged out. I didn't hear you, Troy. You there?
Because I had to cool down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm probably going to bow out for a little bit. I'm going to let you start the conversation. I'm going to get up around the bend and see if I have good, clear reception, because you know that this topic is going to get me going, and I think that's why you chose to put it in the show today.
Yeah, that's definitely part of it. We're doing a Big Ten show, and we're moving to our final topic here, which we could talk an hour about. We're not going to, because we know that shows that go over an hour, in particular, just don't hold people's attention like shows that go 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 1 hour do. But if you have listened to our show before, and we don't get into this topic necessarily a ton on this show, Go Big or Go Home, all Big Ten basically, outside of last week because Women's World Cup and deadbeat of summer with no sports going on. But Melvin Gordon and his contract issue is becoming a thing that people are knowing about because he's making it known. And no, go ahead, Troy.
I'm probably cracking up. I was saying last week, Rose Lavelle scored the goal. That's got Big Ten ties. So our show was related to the Big Ten.
Right. Melvin Gordon, Wisconsin. So Wisconsin Badgers getting some headlines here from Go Big or Go Home. But basically he's on his rookie contract. Okay, he signed a contract as a rookie. I'll say this, that we don't get into these huge contract issues and people sitting out games because of their contract and wanting to be traded, wanting a new deal. We don't really get into that much on this show. The other shows that we do, other radio stations that have our show weekly, we get into this more because we talk about professional sports more. It doesn't happen much in the Big Ten, but just wanted to slide this topic in here. Like you said, Troy, it might get you a little agitated, but that's okay.
I'm already agitated about it. I was agitated when I saw it in your text. I was agitated when I heard it in the news.
Yeah. So Melvin Gordon wants to be on the Chargers. He has said this. He said, even since coming out and saying what he did, what he believes, he says he wants to be a Charger. And I believe him 100%. He just thinks he isn't being paid fairly, which... just like last week's show, we talked about that, different light. But Melvin Gordon is, again, on the final year of his rookie deal. And the Chargers picked up a fifth-year option. So instead of making $1.8 million like he did last year, which is ridiculous for his talent and what he brings to the team, he's now making $5.6. If he's making more, is he making as much as Le'Veon Bell and Todd Gurley and Ezekiel? These guys, not Ezekiel Elliott yet. Ezekiel Elliott still has to make his money. But the other top running backs in the league.
Well, there you go. Elliott's a Big Ten guy too. I'll tell you what, though, Kevin, that guy's got to live in a bubble. He's got to stop going out. He's just got to stay in his house. Like, he should have a private shuttle from his house to the practice facility and not go out anytime, any other place, because every time this guy's out in public, something happens. I mean, he's just got to fly under the radar. I mean, I had to bring it up because that's in the news too. And that's a former, Big Ten guy. Just you gotta keep your nose clean, and Melvin Gordon does. But continue, like you said, Elliott's got to get paid. But man, he's got to keep his nose clean. He's got to stop getting in trouble.
Yeah, I would agree with you 100%. So Melvin Gordon is in his true final year of his rookie deal. Obviously, when this deal is up, he's an unrestricted free agent in 2020, next season. So obviously, this is the NFL we're talking about here with the Chargers, and you can franchise tag people. So really, they've got him under control for 3 more years if they want to. This year, 2020, and 2021, they can tag him a couple times until it starts getting, absolutely ridiculous, and you don't tag people at that point. But that's the case here. And Melvin Gordon is going to be 26 this year, and he's going into the real, true prime, age 26 to 29 type of, running back status where you're still really good. Then you hit 30, and then you hit a wall, typically. But so he wants to make his money now, and he's seeing what Todd Gurley and Le'Veon Bell are getting paid now. And his $5.6 million compared to 11, 13, 14 million, obviously not the same. So he has said he is willing to sit out of camp. He's willing to sit out all this year. He wants a new deal with the Chargers. He's not forcing his way out, so to say. He's not, he just doesn't think he's being paid correctly, which I agree with, but at the same time, this is what the NFL Players Association agrees is correct pay for a guy that is selected where he was selected in the draft, and what his salary will be. This is his rookie deal. This is not a deal he has signed on his own a couple years ago, last year, a la Anthony Davis, a la a lot of these players that basically say, trade me, I don't like my contract. Or trade me, I don't like the organization, we're not a winner. Trade me. So it's a little different because he's on his rookie deal. At the same time, he still did essentially sign a contract. And he's willing to sit out the entire year because he feels as though he's not being paid fairly, is what it comes down to. So, Troy, what are your overall thoughts here? Melvin Gordon, does he have the right to just completely sit out a whole year even though he's under contract? He signed the contract.
Is he best friends with Megan Rapinoe?
They might be very shortly.
I mean, okay, so I will agree with one thing you said. It's a little different because it's the rookie deal.
Yeah.
But it's no different. You want to play in the NFL, you sign the rookie deal, and that's what your Players Association, they bargained that.
Correct.
And the salary that you are given is slotted based on where you're picked in the draft.
Yep.
If you have anybody to complain to, don't go woo-wooing to the Chargers and saying, pay me more.
Right.
I am not faulting the Chargers one bit. They picked up his option.
Yeah.
And in a smart business move, Kevin, why would I renegotiate his contract right now when I can get him for $5 million instead of $10 million?
Right.
That makes no sense to me.
Yeah, and that's why he's saying, no, I'm going to sit on the bench. Or no, I'm not going to attend games or whatever it comes down to.
Which is being a big crybaby. And I can't believe that I'm talking about a former Badger being a crybaby. I love what he does on the field. I love him in DraftKings. I love him in fantasy football.
Yep.
But you know what? Another entitled player. The difference between you and Le'Veon Bell and Todd Gurley, they're out of their rookie deals.
Right.
So you know what? Play for your oh my God, it's only $5 million. Oh my God, only $5 million.
He's making only $5.6 million this year.
And Kevin, we talked about this. He is one of those running backs that is a different breed. Running backs aren't getting paid in the NFL right now.
Well, they're getting paid more now than they ever have. I'll say that. But, yeah, compared to other positions, it's not even close. Like Gurley's making like 13, 14. You got wide receivers making 20, defensive players making 20, obviously quarterbacks 30+. But running back
the position has been diminished because it's a passing league now. But Gordon can catch it out of the backfield. Gordon can run it. He can score touchdowns. Does he deserve to get paid? Yes. Next year. When you signed your contract, you knew the scope of it. You knew what you were going to make, and you knew in that last year there was a club option.
I feel like, honestly, Troy, running backs, this is a semi-different point, but the NFLPA should have a different system for how running backs get paid. Honestly, it's so much more different to me, in my opinion. And you can be Aaron Donald and come into the league year 3 and just completely dominate, and you're getting paid $1.5 million, and it's a joke. But for running backs especially, you see them just kill it in their rookie year. And it's like, oh, my God, this guy's a franchise back. He's only 23 years old. You see that every year, whether it's first round, second round, third round, fourth round, it doesn't matter. Undrafted, you make a huge impact. And it's like, okay, how many good years do you have left? 5, 6? And then you become 30, and then you're done. Like, it's just so different for running backs. So I feel like, and again, this has nothing to do with Melvin Gordon, but the NFLPA really, you should not have running backs making less than $2 million when you, on the open market, Melvin Gordon would make.
You know how this would all be solved, Kevin? Go back to my crazy idea about year-to-year contracts.
Yeah.
People think I'm nuts.
You're right.
People think I'm crazy for saying it. But I really, every year, another situation like this one comes up. If you sign a 1-year contract,
yeah,
it's a prove-it year every year, and I guarantee you're going to get better play on the field.
You know
Guys are going to go balls out. They're going to go balls out because they want the biggest pay they can get.
You know the only
and
athlete...
you know what? Oh, go ahead.
The only athlete that I have known to really test the 1-year deal every year, basically, and, hey, it's a prove-it year. Hey, it's a prove-it year. Well, I'll sign for the max, is LeBron. That's the only athlete that I can remember to just take 1-year deal after 1-year deal after 1-year deal. Until finally now he's 32 and played more minutes than MJ, and, now he'll take a 3-year, 4-year deal with the Lakers, but LeBron would always take 1-year deal because he was confident in himself to not get hurt. He didn't have to take a 4-year deal to say, now all this money is guaranteed, and now I'm set. No, he would constantly take 1-year deals to let himself be a free agent every year if he wants to go to a different team if he wants to, so it's on his terms. And he's not worried about longevity because he's LeBron. And he's willing to bet on himself that he won't sustain a major injury that kills his career. Now, different story. But the last 10, 12 years, he would take 1-year deal. And that's smart if you're willing to bet on yourself. A running back, probably it'd be difficult.
That brings me up to the other point of this, Kevin.
Yeah.
So Gordon's sitting here poo-pooing that he's not getting paid enough. What if he would have got injured or had a crap year last year, and then he complained that, they're not picking up my option?
Mm-hmm.
Now everybody would be mad that they're not picking up his option.
Right.
So again, it's a business transaction. And if he wants to sit out and do what Le'Veon Bell did, how well did that work out for Le'Veon Bell?
He made basically the same exact money this year with the Jets as he would have last year with the Steelers, a.k.a. he gained nothing. So that's how it worked out, was he gained nothing money-wise, except he lost out on money a year ago by not playing. That's how it worked out for Le'Veon Bell. You're cracking up a bit. I'll give you 10 seconds or so. But interrupt me whenever. So, again, that's the thing. I think it would be hard to implement a 1-year contract, and I'm down for it, but a lot of athletes wouldn't because they want to take that 3-year, 4-year, 5-year deal.
No, they want the damn...
I heard you cut in saying no, they want the damn...
Kevin.
Oh, there you go. Okay, go ahead.
Man, why do I always cut out in the good topics?
You cut out perfectly wrong.
So here's, I'm going to repeat myself. I may not even re-edit this on the podcast.
Yeah.
Gordon needs to shut up, play, and then what's going to happen is he's going to complain that it's not enough money when they offer him a 5-year deal, not enough guaranteed money, and so then the Chargers are just going to franchise tag him, and he'll make his $15 million or whatever it's going to be next year.
Right.
Is that enough money? I mean, come on now. If you're going to, and I'll say it this way, the way Gordon is doing this is a bunch of BS. Again, I go back and I'll even compare it to last week's show, Kevin. The women are sitting here complaining about the pay for the World Cup. You signed an agreement. An agreement. Melvin Gordon, the team picked up your option, and increased your salary by 400 and some odd percent. I wish I could go to my employer and say, hey, next year, can you pick up this employee option and increase my salary 4 times, please?
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's different. I know he's a professional athlete. I know people in his position are getting paid a lot more, and he is one of the top backs in the league.
Yeah.
But, my God, it's an agreement that was made by your Players Association. It's your rookie deal. To me, Kevin, I know it's different because it's the rookie deal.
Right.
But really, it's no different. It's no different than if this was his first contract. At the end of the day, you signed it knowing what it entails. And you happen to be outplaying your value. But you're not the only one. it happens all across the league. You and I talked about this, Kevin. Teams now, to win a Super Bowl, almost have to win with a quarterback on the rookie deal.
Right.
They have to outplay that contract.
Yeah.
And this thing, again, so do you want me to get real about sports now? I love sports. I love professional sports. I love football. I love basketball. I love hockey. It's all about dollars.
Nice.
Players are greedy. Owners are greedy. I mean, that's all it is. And it's a political stage. There, I said it. I mean, I may sound like Debbie Downer right now, but man, sports has changed so much, and it's all because of the money. All because of the money. I'll let you talk for a little bit.
I'll say this: it's all because of the money, and where does the money come from? It comes from it being an entertainment business, and us as individuals watching it. And so the NFL sees how many people are watching, and so they can go to advertisers and charge them X amount of dollars because they can say, we're going to bring in 1.5 million viewers to this game. In order for you to buy a 30-second ad for this game, you're going to pay us this. So it falls back on us as consumers, but at the same time, I mean, it's hard to equate this to anything when it comes to politics and it being a political stage and saying, whatever, saying black people are oppressed or saying women deserve equal pay or saying whatever. Because an actor making this type of money can't do that on screen during a movie. You could say like maybe a comedian during a skit, but again, it's a comedic act. I mean, so do you take it 100% serious? I don't know. If they were to make a political stance on something, it's just these players know how much money is being generated. They know how many people are watching, and so if they want anything that they truly believe in, they know they're going to have millions of people reading, listening, watching what they're trying to put out there. So I don't know. It's just different now than it was before. Yeah, because of the money, because there's more people on Earth now. There's more people watching this entertainment show, the NFL. So I don't know. I can say that players shouldn't do this, shouldn't do that, to use it as a political stand. But at the end of the day, it is what it is, and I don't think it's going to stop. I don't think it's necessarily a generational thing. I think it's more of a, if social media and there were so many millions and billions and, of dollars being generated in the 70s, in the 60s, in the 20s, I think players would have done the same type of thing. That's just my opinion. Maybe I'm completely off. Maybe 80% of the listeners listening to the show disagree with me.
You're not off, Kevin. It's the product of society.
Yeah.
It's just the way, the timeline of society. And you're right. It's never going to end.
Right.
It is not going to end. No. We're going to continue to see players complain about their contracts. They get their way. I mean, look at the NBA. That's it. And I know you're a big NBA guy, and I watch the NBA. I love the NBA too, but it's a players' league. The players run that league. I mean, I hate to say that.
The only way I'll say this for baseball very quickly. Sorry to interrupt you, but baseball players say, "No, I want $40 million a year. No, I want $50 million a year," and they'll hold out until a team pays them that. And they can do that because it's just a completely open market. It's just based on the owner willing to pay you. Football, it's different. Basketball, it's different. Hockey is different. All these sports, it's different. But for baseball, you can make however much an owner wants to pay you. It's not the case in the NFL or the NBA. It's just not the case. The baseball, I hardly ever hear players truly complain about their contract in baseball.
No, because most of them are overpaid.
Right, because it's an open market. And you can say, hey, I'm Albert Pujols, I'm 920 years old. Oh, the Angels want to pay me $50 million a year? Well, here we go. I mean, you can do that. you can't do that if you're LeBron. On the open market, LeBron makes more than $40 million this year. You know, and his years in Cleveland when he was making 30, because that's what the max was back then. Again,
you know, I'll tell you what, Kevin, though, I do like what the NBA has done with, like, max contracts and things of that nature. I really do. Now, again, it's a little different. You can't apply that to other sports, though, based on, I mean, but you could do it by position.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in the NBA, you got max contract. If you go in the free agent market, this is the max contract, right?
Right.
But if you stay with the team that drafted you or that you had X amount of years with,
right,
you get more money.
Yeah.
And I like the concept.
Yeah, me too.
I love the concept.
Yeah.
But, and again, basketball is a little bit different because in reality, yeah, you got different positions. You got big guys, rebounders, defensive players. But basically in the NBA, the scorers are going to get the max contracts. The guys that put up big points. And in the NFL, who's to say that a left tackle is not as valuable as Melvin Gordon?
Right.
Because without a really good left tackle, how good is Melvin Gordon? Or
right,
without a really good center, how good is Melvin Gordon?
Yep.
Or having Phillip Rivers as his quarterback and Keenan Allen on the outside. I mean,
how
there's so
good
many.
How good was Antonio Brown without Big Ben in Pittsburgh?
Oh, we'll find out. We'll find out quick.
We'll
find out in about we'll find out about a month and a half.
Yeah. We're getting there.
We're not going to really be able to tell in preseason.
No.
You know, but I guarantee Gruden's going to force feed that guy in the postseason when he's in the game to give him like 8 catches for 200 yards to say, yeah, look at how great this deal was. And nobody's really going to care because nobody's really going to play defense in the preseason like they never do. So
they'll play defense.
I could see.
He'll go up against free agent corners that are.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I could see Gruden rolling them out there against second teamers, third teamers,
right,
street free agents, just so he gets his catches, just so Gruden can say, "I told you I was right doing this deal."
Yeah.
We'll find out. We'll find out.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think we're starting to get off the tree trunk right now a little bit.
We are.
My last comment on this, Kevin, is Melvin Gordon's wrong. The Chargers have done everything by the book. They gave him his money. They could have declined his option and made him a free agent.
Yeah.
But if I'm the Chargers, like I said, why would I do that? Why would I pay him double what I can do in the scope of what the Players Association bargained for draft picks?
Right.
I don't think the Chargers did anything wrong. Now, in good faith, and I said this, Kevin, I said this with Khalil Mack. When he sat out, why don't teams sit down with these agents and say, look, here's where we're at financially. This is the contract you have this year. Let's work out a long-term deal. But can you play for this year? And I understand the injury factor because people are going to come back at me when they hear me say that and say, well, what happens when he gets hurt? That team's going to say, oh, you got hurt, so screw you. And you know what? They're right.
Yeah.
They're right. But right now, Kevin, I look at it, the Chargers have done nothing wrong. They picked up his option. They're going to pay him 5 times what he was making or 4 point whatever times he was making before. That's fair. And I would imagine they're going to try to negotiate a long-term deal with him. Again, I know how this is going to play out. Next year at this time, you and I are going to talk about Melvin Gordon not wanting to sign his franchise tag because he's not going to sign his long-term deal because it's not going to have enough guaranteed money. I've already written the book. I already know how it plays out because Le'Veon Bell set that precedent. And now, not just running backs, players are going to do that because they want that guaranteed money. And once again, my final point, how did it work out for Le'Veon Bell? We'll find out, but let's see how much fun he has getting bombarded, blitzed, blindsided, and not having the success he had in Pittsburgh. That's all I got. How are you going to wrap it up, youngster?
If you like what you're hearing, not exactly word for word that we're saying, but the youngster and old man, Troy and I, we do other shows, like I mentioned before. And we'll definitely be talking this and other NFL stuff. Check us out at Youngster Old Man on Twitter, Youngster Old Man on Facebook, the youngsteroldman.home.blog is our own website. We'll be talking, NFL, talking about going from 16 games to 18 games and players only having a max limit of playing 16 games. That's out there now as a possibility. We'll have plenty to talk about for this week, too. We'll talk about Melvin Gordon. How I'll leave this very topic is I have more understanding for what Melvin Gordon is, quote-unquote, going through. Because, again, this is based on the NFLPA and what they deemed fair, and he came into the league with this. And, yeah, he signed his contract, but at the end of the day, what are you going to do, not sign a contract and just not play? You have to sign a contract, basically, as a rookie coming into the league, one way or another, whether you get an extra perk or not. This is basically what you're going to make as a rookie going into the league based on where you're selected in the draft. And so I have more leniency with Gordon doing this than I do guys like Le'Veon Bell, guys like Anthony Davis forcing their way out of town, that type of thing. But, yeah, at the end of the day, just players sitting out. Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, has said this is a legitimate issue. Like, I don't know how it's going to be resolved in the very near future, but this is an issue that players can sign a contract and then sit out and force their way out, force their way for more money. It's extra bad publicity on the league. So commissioners don't like it. But, again, it comes down to people signing contracts and, like, the NFLPA deeming that this is fair for running backs, So that's my final take on it. But, again, check us out on social media at Youngster Old Man, Twitter, Facebook, what have you. Obviously, thegrowingtruth.com is another good place to find Troy and I.
All I got to finish up with, Kevin, is my one-year deals just seem more feasible than ever. I mean, but again, it'll never happen.
No.
But it's a very simple solution to solve the whole sitting out problem. I mean, it would be hectic for a team because, especially in the NFL, you got to sign, 60 players, 58 players?
Yeah.
But, again, you can get a lot of that done ahead of time. Like, okay, yeah, this is what you're going to get next year. But, there's pros and cons to it. And, again, there's never going to be a solution to it, Kevin. I think it's just going to get worse. Just going to get worse. But the youngster told you where you can find us. Again, Youngster Old Man on all social media outlets. You can type it into Google. It should pop us up. But hope you had a good day, everybody. We'll be back at you next week, same place, same time. Have a good one.